Hello, friends. We are talking about geopolitics, current events, developments relating to formation of a global South group. G7 is already there, G20 is there, G77 is there, BRICS is there, SUA is there, and we will kind of emphasize a little bit more on Asia plus Ukraine, Russia, because Russia is also a Eurasian nation actually. And there are some countries in Eurasia which we normally don't even talk about or understand about, though they are right next door to us. That is Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and then going on to Mongolia. And we have historical contacts with them. Historical contact of Buddhism is also there. Now, we were at this stage that therefore, what happens after the conflict within Korea and within Vietnam? Once they settle down, within 10 years, they start showing economic improvement. They train their people, and they become industrialized societies, which tells us one thing, that if that war was not there, they would have been 20 years ahead. And they would have been like developed countries. Korea practically is, South Korea that is. While for North Korea, most of the money goes into nuclear weapons and missiles and so on and so forth, which again shows that you don't spend money on expensive upper-end military equipment without at the cost of the people, because you got that much less money for education and health and social services and so on. Now, we were at this point that Kishore Mehbubani and another small group of people, think tankers, talk about the Asian century. They also talk about that the era of multipolarity has started from hegemony of US and US allies. That various reasons are there, economic reasons are there, education has come here, they are very good in certain industries, even leading to US and Europe and so on. And therefore, this particular dynamics will be such that Asia will emerge on its own. So let's look at just from the point of view of GDP. ASEAN GDP plus China, plus India, let's say plus South Asia, and then Middle East is more than anybody else, far more than anybody else. Which means the markets are also here. Which means the dependence on the European markets relatively has gone down and will be going down. Education is there. Health services are there. India and China making vaccines has shown to the Western world that they made vaccines at 1/10, 1/20 of the price at what Pfizer and Moderna made, right? And there are many other examples. You look at space, India's achievement, Chandrayaan, now orbiting the sun, launching satellites in the orbits at 1/10 the cost of what anybody else does. Shows that even in state-of-the-art technologies, they're as good. So is China, and so is Russia as a small country. So this inferiority complex has gone away. Yes, we have large populations, large problems, it takes time, but then large problems have not hindered us once we have mastered the digital technology, because the digitization of the financial transactions, number of transactions done per day or per month or per year is 5 times what is done in the US. 5 times. 2.4 billion transactions, and our case 9 billion transactions. Which means, to talk about the technology, if we talk about Asia, then Korea is ahead in terms of semiconductors and smartphones, laptops compared to anybody else. China is far ahead in terms of automobile manufacturing and so on and so forth. We might look at Mercedes and so on, okay, some vehicles you make which is 10 times the price, and start comparing the things. No, those luxury vehicles can also be made here, but why should we make it? What is the so-called luxury in a Mercedes or BMW? Most of the accidents in India take place on these two vehicles, car accidents, because they are out of control. I'm not deriding them, they're very good vehicles. But then the market is changing. if it was not changing, the exports of China plus Japan plus Korea would not be 10 times the exports which Europe and USA has got. Okay, so the proposition of Asian century, therefore, is that post World War II, post colonial world, where now this 75 years have gone by, people have become confident. However, Africa is different, and we'll talk about it differently. Because unfortunately, Africa has remained post colonial society, except for 3-4 countries in that. Nigeria, which is the largest GDP, largest population, but still that is also a post colonial society. Kenya, Uganda, that means East Africa, yes, their infrastructure is better. British had also built it for their own purposes, and China has put in a lot of money in them. But you talk about West Africa, it is as backward as anything else, and has got the best mineral resources. Uranium, oil, manganese, you think of it is there. So we will come to that separately, that even if you look at it as an opportunity, Asia should help out Africa to decolonize and to make their infrastructure as China is making. Of course, in the G20 recently, transcontinental rail was announced by Mr. Biden. Let's see if it happens. Now, going back to this 19th and 20th September 2023 UN meeting, the UN chief called for reform in the UNSC. That means the Security Council. Other leaders from, let's say, the West, Asia, who came, talked about it. Turkey, President talked about it. Okay, Mr. Biden talked about it. But they had their own proxy there, Zelensky, to say that Russia's veto power should be taken away. He doesn't say that somebody else's veto power should be taken away. If Russia's veto power is taken away and China is neutral, then who's left? Again, the USA and Europe. In other words, these guys are just talking about it. They are not serious about any reform there. They just want to control it as their pocket burrow. And that is what has now pinched the global south. They're convinced that this system is not to their help. One figure was given by Mr. Lula that SDRs, $134 billion last year gone to Europe, and to Africa, $30 billion. Population of Africa, 1.4 billion people. In other words, हाथी के दांत खाने के और दिखाने के और. You show something else, but you actually do something else. Now, let's see, therefore, what happened the rest of Asia. I will be giving very broad brush picture. We talk about India first, right? Immediately after independence, 1947, the Pakistani forces raided Kashmir. What was the Kashmir deal? We had a special section in the Constitution 370. Constitution was passed only 26 January 1950. We became a republic. That there was, the king had said that, I sign up to India. But in Kashmir, not in Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir had Hindu majority population. But Kashmir had Muslim majority population. Now, so what? Because it was under the king. And the king says, I want to affiliate with India. No. They send the Mujahids. Mujahids are generally, in the Pakistan context, people of the army, but coming as a civilian, and raided the place and cut it in two. Being very nice, and so on, Gandhiji's influence was still there. So Prime Minister went to the United Nations saying these guys have attacked us. And later on they say, no, United Nations has said that, the whole thing is of Kashmir, of Jammu Kashmir. And then a militant movement starts. Now that militant movement, the point which I am trying to make, that Kashmir is like heaven on earth. It's so beautiful. It's so nice. Mountains and lakes and whatnot and whatnot. People are very nice. There is a group of people who are shepherds, who take things their sheep, etc., to areas where grass is available and bring them up and make world's finest fabric called pashmina from the hair of those goats. However, this went on and on and on and on and on, with the result sometimes governors rule, sometimes something, sometimes something. And these fellows' education is affected. Youngsters die. Ladies don't have men to marry. So if we just try to start saying it, there is sufficient proof that they are terrorists. They're not the local people either. On the other hand, as the history passes, that portion is actually Gilgit, Baltistan provinces of past. They are passing a resolution, when the citizens are passing the resolution that we want to join India. We want to go back to our Pushtani Ghar, that means ancestral house. They are passing. But in the Muslim world, generally we did not have the support. Even yesterday, Turkey's president said something about the Kashmir problem. What is the Kashmir problem? Number article has been amended already. It was that area was having a special status. After 75 years, it doesn't need a special status. Pakistan's internal politics got affected by that. All the time, Kashmir versus non-Kashmir, Kashmir versus non-Kashmir. Pakistan's military budget got deflected. That nothing is left for education and social services. Small country but wants to become a nuclear power. Budget gone. And otherwise start begging for food also. Currently their inflation is very high. Petrol is at 375 rupees a litre. Atta, ghee, everything eatable, very expensive. And got dependent on the Middle Easterns and the Chinese. So more than that, I will not go into their economy, except to say that having an unnecessary conflict where even people don't want to be with the Pakistan, that they are enjoying. And after this 370 amendment, in about 1.5 years' time, 2 years' time, the economy of Kashmir has grown by leaps and bounds. And infrastructure has also increased. So that shows the cost of conflict and the dividend of peace. Look at Kashmir after 367, 370 is amended, or rather it's abolished from the constitution, that particular concession, and the economy is booming there. People are booming there. G70 meetings have been held there. They've been held with such love and affection there. Nobody created any problems. If India was forcibly occupying that area, there would have been some paintings on the walls or something. No. They are very happy that their tourism trade has gone up. With tourism, they have their other cottage trades of paper mache and handicraft items and shawls and scarves and silk scarves and whatnot. And all that industry has boomed again. And UAE has come and put an investment of a few $1 billion there, which otherwise they would not go if it was not a settled area. So if we just do calculation or even just assessment that what is the economics of peace and what is the disadvantage to Pakistan because of non-peace with India. Otherwise, the Pakistanis in their social media things have been taking pleasure in Chandrayaan and also G20 successful thing, but not the administration. Administration will go and say something against it. Now they pushed Turkey president to say something which will create problem with the wheat initiative connection. India will not support it, and unfortunately Africans who need that grain very badly would be affected because that grain does not move and it will rot there, right? So therefore, how one thing gets connected to the other, the dividend of peace. In Ukraine, same thing. If Mr. Zelensky had not messed up, like last year, they should have just done a specific agreement where the USA would say, okay, I will take away the sanctions from the food grain shipments and let them be financially transacted. No problem. It is not their thing they are giving, and this wheat shipment would have moved. Now let's look at the second part of it. How it has affected Ukraine. Poland was the was the biggest supporter of Ukraine. First they said, India has thrown it. Then even Mr. Biden at that time saying, no, our sources say that it is not India which has thrown it. So it was a problem created by Ukraine of throwing a missile in Poland on that day. Now what has happened? Yesterday, that they have thrown a missile in their own town. It's a longish name. I'll have to refer to it. Starts with K. And then said Russia has done it. And now the defense ministry has admitted that it's they themselves and not nuclear. NYT, New York Times, has done its own analysis, including social media pictures and all that, saying it is a self-attack. Can there be a government so bad which throws missile at its own population just to say that somebody else has done it? It's called Kostin Kinvika. I'm sorry, it's a very long name. Okay, so let's talk about it. Before February 22nd last year, Ukraine, I will not say exact figures because they might be missing here and there. I will give orders of magnitude. Wheat, largest exporter in the world, 33 million tons. Then sunflower oil, barley, and sunflower cake, which goes for animal feeds, poultry feeds, etc. Ukraine is the largest exporter of these items. Barley, perhaps USA or even South American countries, but others, yes. What is the reduction last year? And now what is expected this year? If this much grain is not exported because of military conflict, but also because you are not able to work out an arrangement, then a lot of people are going to sleep hungry. And the farmers of Ukraine are also going to sleep hungry because they will not get the money. And then how will they sow the next crop? 3 things they tried: via Danube River, Romania, and then get into Europe. Not worked. Then the route of Poland, Slovakia, Hungary. Results came yesterday. What are the results? Poland had said, Hungary has said, Slovakia has said, sorry, we will not let Ukraine's grains enter our territory. Zelensky and his supporters say, why not? He says, because the price of our grains will get depressed. He said, why? We will be only taking it somewhere else. I said, give the guarantee that you will not unload any of the grain here. You are desperate to sell. You will sell at half the price. So our wheat will not sell. Our products will not sell. So where will our farmers go? Then the geopolitics. Poland was the most supportive of Ukraine and gave a lot of military aid also, because they had a lot of Soviet era equipment. So also Hungary. But Hungary has been opposing it, saying we don't want to give any monetary aid to Ukraine because they don't adjust to anything. Mr. Zelensky, they say that Russia is weaponizing everything from food to energy. Now you can't be naughty and you destroy the pipelines and then say somebody else is. Then you can't be naughty with your neighbors. Why it is naughty? They go to WTO. Ukraine has gone to WTO of restricting the trade. And European Union says to those 3 countries, you are restricting the trade, they say go to hell. Now, the dividends of peace. Not only the dividends of peace, but dividends of a peaceful initiative. In G20, they have said that, Turkey and UN and these people will sit down together and work out a deal. Secondly, peace. China took an initiative, sent its prime minister. They didn't even bother. Ramaphosa took 6 other countries' presidents with him from Africa and then went to Russia. Didn't bother. Yesterday, he has presented his 10-point plan. His 10-point plan looks like a plan of a winner. Diplomacy is forgotten. Diplomacy is forgotten. Why are you come to UN? You want to carry the other people along with you to put moral pressure on Russia. You don't allow Putin to come there saying that you've got an arrest warrant. So, if peace is there, advantages are there. Now, I will just refer to a few months ago. There was a conference organized by the British government in London. IMF was also there. It was to financially help Ukraine. Whatever has come out of the proceedings surprises me. They say certain cost, so somebody estimates $500 billion. IMF estimates $750 billion, billion, not million. And somebody estimates $1 trillion. Then say how to take care of it. UK says, I will give few billion, which they have not given. But that is like little thing you give in the beginning, like opium, to pasaw something, or thrown to the fish, to pasaw the fish. And what is the fish? That somebody should give this 1 trillion rupees, $1 trillion. They say, go and take it from Russia. They would attack you. अरे भाई वो कहते तो हमारे we are trying to protect our own ethnic people who have now passed resolutions and done referendum, and we have become part of Federation of Russia. They are our people. What have you bothered? एक पैसा दिया किसी को? किसी ने आपको एक रुपया टैक्स दिया? आपने एक रुपया किसी की दवाई पे लगाया वहाँ पे? आपने एक रुपया स्कूलों की फीस में लगाया कहीं पे? नहीं लगाया. तो तुम्हारे रिपब्लिक कहाँ से आ गए? This is what they say. Russia said, Mr. Lavrov said again and again. But go through the history. How did this man come? There was a democratic elected government and this fellow replaced him. Zelensky. He was a comedian. Then they say that we have been writing, we had a Minsk declaration which said that NATO will not move to our borders. And you are trying to make him a member of NATO, to make him, make whole NATO on our border, so that every now and then you can do tick, 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 tick. Yes. So, the cost of the war. Sanctions on Russia. Practical sanctions on Ukraine by Russia, saying we will not let these ships go unless we can check whether there is any military equipment in them. That's all. And let Turkey do that. Because Black Sea means Turkey is also there. Turkey, Crimea, and then Romania, etc. So, UN people are crying that, Russia is going to make people go hungry. How is Russia doing it? Russia says, I want to send my grain. Allow me. Remember, Russia does not have a warm water port. The only warm water port right now, the access which is there, is through Black Sea. 12 months navigability. जहाँ पे जो आर्कटिक वगैरह में they are completely frozen. You can't really move. Those small corridors Russia has developed with the help. Every time an ice cutter, nuclear powered ice cutter has to go in front. But you have to also see if you're supplying something to Africa or something to Europe, then which is the route. Too long a route means too expensive. So, because of this not proper analysis, that really if you are in favor, UN also, that you are in favor of that, food insecurity is there in the African areas, then you should help to figure out an agreement which is mutually acceptable. You will be shouting it is because of Russia. So Russia, now I am saying that sometimes people don't realize that if these fellows' 2 crops have been affected, they can't sell it or they can't get enough money, that means they go bankrupt. Farmer के पास कितना capacity होता है? And or they have no money left. Who will give them planting in the next land? Okay, now going back to this conference. They say, we should take money of Russia which is abroad. Very well, very easy. What is your right of taking Central Bank of Russia's money? But be that as it may, the rest of the money will be extended by the private sector, and private sector will go and acquire these various things and all that, and restart them and so on. Which means, like Second World War, post-Second World War, capture all the assets, whatever is left. So some people don't realize it. And the peace dividend is that these 4 o'clock where Russian majority is there and Crimea, again Russian majority is there, where the referendums have been done, let it be with Russia. They'll take care. And the fighting will be over tomorrow. And NATO should not insist of making Ukraine as a member of the NATO. What is the point? 15 months you have been assisting NATO money. $70 billion have been given by USA alone, plus a lots of other things. That's cash money. Similar amount at least European Union also. And plus you have damage of $1 trillion. So we have the cost of peace then. That this damage otherwise is adding every day. The education of children is affected every day. Families have been separated out every day, millions of them. And those millions now, Poland has said from 2024, I am not accepting anybody. Because I have my own elections coming next month. Slovakia also, elections coming up next month. How will we do this? How will we face our own people? So I stop here on this particular issue to say that one should talk about peace philosophically, but one should also talk peace from functional point of view. And to people we should explain that don't try to be very masculine and so on. Look at what the costs are. It will take you that many years to recover. The society will be practically destroyed because these fellows at least are Europeans, so they'll go somewhere else. But there will be refugees in all these countries. Refugees is not the same thing of living in your own country with whatever advantages or disadvantages. Thank you very much.